Skylerland in with head men's basketball coach Josh Schertz for our weekly report. Normally do this on Tuesday, but since the Carson-Newman game yesterday, we're doing this on a Wednesday. So let's first talk about that Carson-Newman game, a 98-82 win for the Railsplitters. Obviously a wonderful first half, and then a terrific individual performance from Darrell Simmons, 37 points. But just you went back. You said you watched the tape 2 times. So assess the team's performance when you've had a night to kind of look at it and kind of assess everything.
Well, I thought going back on it, I thought our focus was through the roof in the first half. Our energy, we were very physical. I thought we flew around. We did a great job from a game plan standpoint in every area except for probably how we guarded Sawyer in the first half. And I thought as offensively we did some good things. We stuck some shots. I thought we had a nice balance of getting downhill, making some threes. And so I thought, first half, they probably didn't play as well as they would have liked. And you look up and you're up, 26 at a point in the first half and 23 at halftime. So I thought against an outstanding team, that was a really, on both sides of the ball, well-played first half. Second half, I thought I wasn't as disappointed as I've been in previous second halves. Because I think a lot of our problems in the previous second halves were related to effort and focus and just the second half last night wasn't that. Second half was Carson-Newman's an outstanding team with great competitors. You knew they weren't going to lay down. We had some breakdowns, not from an effort or a focus standpoint, but mental breakdowns, mental errors that we got to go back and clean up. It's early in the season. And you're going to have some things. First play, second half, they run an Iverson cut for Clark, and it's just an example. And Darrell did a wonderful job all night on both sides of the ball. Goes under the Iversons, and Clark buries a 3. We lose Pangallo a couple times, and on post digs, and he knocks a couple shots down, and and then the second half was obviously with all the fouls a little bit choppy in terms of it's hard to get a rhythm and a flow. But to our guys' credit, every time we had to make a play, we did. And if you think about it, really in the first half, it was a lot of Jalen and Dorian. In the second half, it was a whole lot of Jarrell, but Lou made some timely threes in that second half, and other guys stepped up and made plays. And I was really pleased. Curtis McMillian, 12 rebounds, and did a nice job for us on the interior. Emmanuel's energy and athleticism was very good, and so I thought we got nice contributions across the board, and it's overall it's a really good win against a team that'll be certainly, in my opinion, an NCAA tournament team, certainly one of the teams that'll be a contender for the South Atlantic Conference Championship, and so it's a good start, but obviously a lot to clean up, and like always you got to improve, and we have a lot to work on, and then we got to move forward, get ready for Saturday.
Well, and then you had talked about how it was a frustrating half offensively for them, for Carson-Newman, but it really seemed like most of that was due entirely to our energy and kind of the focus defensively. You talked about that, and it really felt like at one point in the first half we were kind of watching a glimpse of what the peak this team could reach in terms of you see Emmanuel coming in, blocks a couple shots, that really frustrated them, and then Jalen still gets out in transition, hits a couple threes, and all of a sudden you look up and it's 19-5. Did you feel like really the start of that game was at least a peak in terms of the as well as this team can play?
Yeah, at this stage of the season, I think honestly, I thought the first half against Hiawassee, even though the competition wasn't the same, and the first half last night was. We were outstanding. I mean, because the being up 61-17 against Hiawassee, being up, I think at one point last night in the first half, maybe 49-23, against a really good Carson-Newman team. I think when we've shown in glimpses, in spurts that we can be outstanding. Again, to become the team that has a chance to really have a big time, terrific year. Has to be more than spurts, has to be sustained. Again, I don't look at it as those like Elise McCray second half was emotional we weren't into it. The second half against Hiawassee, we were going through the motions, in my opinion, in both those games with big leads in the second half. Last night was a combination of things, but it wasn't going through the motions. There were their breakdowns, of course, and maybe we haven't sustained it yet. So maybe there was a little bit of how do we do this? But a lot of credit to Carson-Newman. Like I said, I know Chuck and those guys weren't going to lay down. They weren't going to go in and go away. They were going to come out and fight and battle, and we expected that and got that. But I do think that there was. We've seen it in spurts, even in the Leeds-McRae game, that we can be really good when we're turned up, when we're focused, when we're energized. And look, no team's good. If you're not playing with energy and focus, you can't be good, right? So it doesn't matter what your talent level is, and so we've shown that when we have those things, that this is a good team. And since the beginning of the year, even to the King game, guys have shared the ball, made extra passes. It's not a selfish group, and it's a group that has we're completely different offensively than we've been in previous years. But it's an explosive offensive team, and one that when we're making shots, we all look smarter when the ball goes in the basket. But certainly one that has a lot of ways to hurt you on the offensive side. But again, to be really good, and this, to be a team that's a chance to compete for some significant things, you got to be great defensively, you got to be great in the backboards. I was happier overall with those two areas. I think we can still get much better in those areas, and obviously clean up a lot of execution on both sides of the ball.
Well, and then you talked about the shot making ability of this team, and we talked about him last night. But Darrell, just an outstanding performance from Darrell Simmons last night. 37 points, 24 in the second half. Really, it says he missed 4 shots in the second half. I don't remember it, but just an outstanding performance by him. The highest single game individual performance by an LMU player since DeMario Curry in 2010. So just talk once again about his ability in that game to help keep Carson-Newman at bay when they kept coming in the second half.
Well, I'm so happy for him to have success, because he's a guy that cares deeply. He's a guy that works unbelievably hard on his game. Jarrell's a guy that wasn't a silver spoon guy. You look back to him 4 years ago. He walked on at Brevard. Mike Jones, who was there then, or 5 years ago, Mike Jones, who was there then, took him as a walk-on. He averages 1 point a game at Brevard as a freshman. And here he is last night getting 37 in a game against Carson-Newman. And so he's just a testament to the hard work. He's a guy that last night I got a text from Omar about 2 a.m. and Jarrell had texted him and said, "Hey, when am I getting in the gym? When can I get in the gym tomorrow?" And that's just who he is. He feels a tremendous responsibility to the group. He cares deeply about his performance and the group's performance. And what was probably one of the cooler things last night was I was getting ready to sub him back in the game, and Tim Pierce hit a 3, and they called timeout. Newman did, and I was like, "Hey, G, we're gonna let Tim stay in." And he ran out. He's the first one to go chest bump Tim. He's one of those guys that he's happy for other guys' success. It's not about him. When other guys play well, and if it's not his night, he's not going to be pouting. He's going to be on the bench cheering and going. And so he really epitomizes everything you would like to see from all your student athletes. So happy for his success, because it's so deserved. Jarrell's not a guy who was blessed with unbelievable athleticism. He's not a guy who's unbelievably quick. There's nothing other than an unbelievable work ethic, and he's an unbelievable competitor. And that's his separation, and so happy and for him, proud of him, and deserves everything he got. And certainly, he really was in an unbelievable groove last night. He was getting the mid-range and knocking it down. He got to the rim and finished some plays. He stuck some big threes, and not only did he do all that, and he did a really good job individually on Charles Clark. Obviously, it takes a village with Charles Clark, but he did a really good job individually of trying to do some things, and then we did a good job behind him of helping. His teammates did, and making sure that we were there, and when he got beat. But he really gave. That was what's probably as impressive as anything, is that he was able to do it on both sides of the ball for whatever it was, 35, 36 minutes.
Okay, now we turn our attention to, you take a little brief break here for Thanksgiving, and then on Saturday afternoon you got UVA-Wise coming in here. Had a tough start to the season for the Cavaliers, but, it's a regional matchup, and you got to talk. I'm sure you'll be talking to your guys about how to approach this game after coming off of a big win against Carson-Newman and then looking ahead to Lenore, Ryan, and Coker afterwards.
Yeah, it's a big, it's a great time of the year. Obviously, Thanksgiving, we'll get a chance to spend some time together all tomorrow and, take a day off today. The players will. We started our preparations for Virginia-Wise this morning in terms of the staff. I know, Coach Thompson, Ben Thompson's got the scouts, so, he's been hard at work on them for a couple of days. I kind of dug in this morning and have kind of got really, full throttle on them. And they had a couple close losses to start the season. They're a team. I think Blake's got some good young pieces. They've got a guy in Matt Day who's averaging, and he's kind of a local guy, Buckhorn, averaging 20 and 11, and he's a five-man that shoots the three. Half his shots are threes. They got a great point guard back from last year, Phillip Owens. They got some nice pieces, some new pieces around them. They're a team that almost half their shots are from three, so they create a lot of danger from that standpoint. And from our deal, and I told the guys this in the locker room after the game. I felt like we would be ready to go last night because if you're externally motivated, playing Carson-Newman, who whipped us in the conference tournament last year, championship, playing in front of a couple thousand people here inside a Texas Turner Arena, all those things. If you're externally motivated, you're going to be ready to go in that scenario. The question for us and kind of the litmus test moving forward is, how do we come back to practice tomorrow? What is our focus like? What's our concentration like? What's our energy like tomorrow and Friday? And getting ready for the challenge that Saturday presents, because it does present a tremendous amount of challenges, completely different than what the challenges were against Carson-Newman. And so we have to get ready. We have to prepare well. I've got to do a better job, coaching them so we can get more discipline or execution, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And so, everybody's got to come in and have great work on Thursday, Friday, short preparation. It'll be very similar to what it'll be like the rest of the year, with 2-day prep for these games. We had a longer prep for Carson-Newman. And then, as you said, you get right into next week with an undefeated Lenore Ryan team at home, and then you got to host a Coker team that lost their first game last night. They were undefeated going on last night. So, it's the NBA West in the SAC. You just show up, play, and everybody's great. And if you don't play well, you got to play well to have a chance to win. If you don't play well, you can get blown out, and that's the way it is in this league, and I think it'll be like that all year. So that's the challenge ahead of us, to come back tomorrow. Guys get a day off, come back tomorrow with great focus, concentration, build on what happened last night, or is it back to kind of where we've been a little bit of, okay, everything's good, and we let our guard down, or we want to go back to the bottom, start, build back up, have great preparation to go in and prepare ourselves to play well on Saturday, and that's the challenge in front of us.